All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles win 38-31 over the Washington Commanders here in week 8, right? Week 8. I don't know why I'm blanking. Yeah, week 8. But regardless, yeah, this was definitely a game that was not pretty by any means by the defense at all. And what's something that I've been complaining about is the defense. They go out and make the trade for Kevin Byard, and there was really not much of a difference in the secondary play at all. The defense I did not think was stellar. Here's my problem, is that a lot of the guys in the secondary, in particular, Byard didn't really do anything bad that I could think of. Slay didn't do anything bad that I could think of. But the problem is they're not doing anything particularly good right now, it seems like to me. But maybe it's just because we're not noticing it and they're not getting a lot of targets, so they're not getting the chances to get the recognition. But I just am not happy with Bradbury's play. Blankenship, I was not happy with his play in this game. He ended up making up for it. And then there was the play of Sidney Brown, who definitely he had a weird game. He started off good, sucked in the middle, and then was good towards the end. He was, I don't even know what to say about his play. And then the defensive line, man, was the defensive line just not sharp like they've been in previous weeks, especially with Jalen Carter being banged up. Hopefully that's nothing serious, but it's a back injury, so that's what scares me a bit. But yeah, Jalen Carter, you could already tell how much of a difference maker he is in the defensive front, because did you guys see how that defensive line played without him? Sam Howell just had a very easy day at the office with the way the defense played. It just wasn't good enough. It wasn't. And the offense, though, they definitely hurt themselves at points in the game. But you know what? For the most part, they still played good. They still played good enough to get the win, which is really all that matters at the end of the day. But yeah, the defensive play is definitely concerning and needs to be cleaned up. Now I could really, or not now, but like I understand why Howie Roseman would love to add a linebacker to the squad, because they could use one. They could use linebacker help. They could definitely use help somewhere in the defense and the secondary. It's like concerning that you add Byard. Granted, it's your first game with him, so I'm not gonna, jump to conclusions there, but. And there's really not a significant improvement, though. That's the thing that scares me. But we'll jump further into the game. Before we do, leave a like on the video if you do enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Eagles fans. And turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live on the channel. But the first drive for the defense actually worked out pretty well. This is where I was talking about Sidney Brown having a very good start to the game. Howell was just throwing checkdowns nonstop in that first drive. Threw one to Samuel Dotson, then two. They end up getting a first down on the run. And then they get another 9-yard check down. Sidney Brown, though, great play from the backfield to break up a run. That ended up being a loss of yards. Dean and the defensive line get some pressure. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't matter as Ricks ends up taking a pass interference penalty. That ends up moving the sticks. But thankfully, the Eagles make up for it. And Ricks actually did himself. McLaurin on a check downs found. But then Sidney Brown, another great play in the backfield to stop a gain of a run there. And then Ricks made up for it with a huge tackle on a check down, so the Commanders have to punt it. And then the offense goes out onto the field. And what does the offense do on their first drive? Literally nothing. Swift had a carry, got on a check down. Got her on a check down. Was broken up, though, by Butler. Terrible. And they have to punt the football. The defense goes back on the field, and this was, they had good field position, but this was just way too easy of work. Robinson with a huge gain on a run, got pushed out on the sidelines, and then McLaurin open in the end zone as he just absolutely cooks Bradbury. Bradbury has not been as good as he was last season, and that ends up being a touchdown. The extra point's good, 7-0 game. Yeah, there's really no way around it. Bradbury has just not been as sharp this year as he was last year. So let's see how the offense responds, right? Hurts overthrows Swift a bit, but Hurts ends up using his legs to get a first down afterwards. So you know what? Fine. Smith then gets one on a short pass. Goddard then with a first. Swift gets a few yards on a short pass. And then Hurts to Brown. Beautiful. Hurts then tries a home run pass to Zacchaeus. That ends up being off target a bit. And then Hurts has guys open, but he's pressured on the blitz, and Goddard couldn't haul it in. and then a check down the Swift on 3rd and 10 for whatever reason. Because yes, we love, nothing is better. Nothing makes me happier in this world than Brian Johnson's play calling, where it's either a check down or it's a run on 3rd and long. Like, there's just nothing better than that in this world. And yeah, they have to settle for a field goal, 7-3. The play calling makes me lose my mind from Brian Johnson. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand what goes through his head sometimes with some of these calls. Like, why? Why on a 3rd and 10 play are we going with a check down? But regardless, the defense goes back onto the field, and what do? Nothing great. First down on pass. I don't really know exactly what happened here because, why would out of market games are not easy to watch. So yeah, feed kept cutting out. But regardless, another check down the Robinson for a first. Howell tries to go deep, misses the throw a bit to Pringle, and then on a run, they miss a few tackles, but it was still 3rd down. Howell, though, finds Thomas for a first down. Then we get to the second quarter in the middle of this drive. Robinson gets a big run. Thankfully, it got called back for a flag, though, on Thomas. Brown made a big play. Sidney Brown, that is. But it looked ugly. And then, as I say, Brown was making some good plays out there. He gets absolutely cooked by Johan Dotson, and Howell finds him in the end zone, 14-3, because the extra point was good. So then we get to the offense. How will they respond? Oh, how will they respond? How will they respond? Julio gets targeted. He was held and there was no call, but that wasn't the first time the officials missed blatant calls in this game, but it is what it is. This happens every single game. I'm not going to waste my breath on the officials. When it wasn't a game costing call. 2, this is going to just happen every week. It's just the nature of football, unfortunately. Then a great throw on 3rd down to AJ Brown. And yeah, hallelujah, it wasn't a run on 3rd down there, right? Goddard then picks up a first on a short pass. Hurts then takes his time in the pocket, rolls to the side, finds AJ for a beautiful first down. Hurts then blitz and sacked by Sweat because Opeta, he was getting exposed a lot. Lane Johnson definitely too at points in this game was getting exposed, but you could tell he's hurt because some of the plays that the defensive front was making on him and beating him to weren't really that impressive. Like, you could just tell Lane's playing hurt. Hurts then to Brown again for a first down, and then why? I have no idea, but why? How many times have I said in these post games, why is Kenneth Gainwell getting touches in the red zone? Could anybody give me a valid reason? Because it ends up being fumbled and Washington recovers it. I just don't. I just can't understand. I just can't understand. So yeah, the defense back on the field, which is struggling. The offense was fine, but nope, they hurt themselves there. Crowder is wide open for a first. Sweat pressures Howell on 3rd down, but Dotson ended up being Blankenship for a first. Blankenship again, not a great game outside of that one play, which we'll talk about later on. If you didn't see the game, it was pretty exciting, but regardless, Thomason was just short on a 3rd down play. They go for it on 4th. Bradbury should have picked the ball, but I guess either way they get it, and it doesn't really matter. The offense, if there was ever a time to respond, please just respond here. Gainwell on 3rd. Gets a first on a short pass. Lucky it worked out. Brian Johnson's lucky. Smith picks up a first then. And then AJ Brown. Unbelievable catch. Unbelievable catch in the end zone. And that's the response that they needed. That's a touchdown. And they get the extra point. 14-10. Beautiful, beautiful work there. And then the defense comes back on the field. And it's like, yeah, there's like a minute or maybe under a minute at that point. A minute left until the half. Let's just not play. Like, it's halftime already. as Crowder gets a first. Dotson holds on to one midfield for a first down. Dotson then gets in field goal range on a first down. And yeah, they end up getting a flag. Washington moves it back. It's like, okay, 61-yarder. He's not going to make up, and he makes it. Yeah, 17-10. So you go into the half allowing a field goal. You get the ball, thankfully, but it's like, why or how does the defense just allow them to march down the field that easily going into the half after that big touchdown and AJ Brown's hyping you up on the sidelines and you go out there and do that? Inexcusable. My takeaways from the first half: AJ Brown is great at football. Kenneth Gainwell is not so great at football, at least as of right now. He had good plays last year, but we're just not seeing him make an impact like he did last year, and this is exactly why they got Swift. Could you imagine if they did not get Swift and Gainwell was the main back this year? I couldn't even imagine where this team is. It would be a nightmare. Hurts, though, I thought he looked good in the first half. He ran into some trouble, but that's mainly because of the horrible play calling from Brian Johnson, especially on third down a lot. Sidney Brown had a good first drive, and then he was really not doing anything, but the defense as a whole getting pantsed by Bieniemy, and it just was ugly. The secondary are horrendous. The defensive front not getting enough pressure to Howell. Howell had way too much time, and the team, they were just hurting themselves this game, just like they've been doing a lot this season. But the offense starts with the football in the third quarter, and Swift gets a carry. Gainwell finally gets a good play. Gets a couple yards on a screen pass. Swift then gets a few yards. Then gets another few yards. Short. They go for on fourth. Hurts tries to get it to AJ in the end zone, broken up, but a flag was called, and they get a first down. They're in the red zone. And everybody says, ban the push, ban the brotherly shove. It's unfair. Was that so unfair? Because they attempt it, and it gets fumbled, and Washington recovers it. Really, it's unfair. It's unfair. It's too broken. Works every time. Okay. But the defense had to respond this time. If there was ever a time for the defense to respond, they had to answer there. And they did. Cunningham had a nice breakup on a pass. Dotson was wide open, though, for first. Hassan Reddick, huge tackle in the backfield, but Howell got it out in time. But it was an intentional grounding, thankfully. Dotson then gets a few yards. Third and long. I thought for sure they were going to mess it up, but they don't. Fletch had a nice play, and it ends up being forced for a punt. So the defensive front definitely, that was probably the defensive front's best work in the game at any point for Philadelphia. That was probably their best drive there. And then the offense goes on the field. Covey gets a great return to start it off for them. Swift had a nice gain. Smith then on a screen ends up getting it. It was fourth down. They went for it. Smith called in a low throw. Was definitely an incomplete pass, but I'll take it. I'll take it. They rushed to the line, so there's no review there. And then within that sequence of plays there, Hurts finds Brown, who makes another great catch to tie the game up at 17. Huge. Just huge and important. But then the defense, yet again, this offense does something for the defense, and the defense just doesn't return the favor, and it just was a thing the entire game. Robinson loses yards as Dean broke through and made a beautiful play, but Dotson gets a first. Crowder then with a first. Crowder then just short of a first, but Howell would end up getting in on 3rd and inches. We go now to the fourth quarter. Bates then, way too easy of a first down. McLaurin ended up beating Sidney Brown, but the throw was just out of reach. Sweat then offsides. I wanted to vomit because the defensive front was missing Carter. They really were. Howell then runs for a first. Good tackle by Reddick, but just embarrassing. And the defensive line gets pressure. Fletch with a block. Thomas, though, found in the end zone for a touchdown because Blankenship gets beat. Couldn't even get an arm on it. 24-17. And then the offense, just another beautiful drive. Another beautiful drive as Opeta has a false start, but Brown gets a first. Good RPO on third down. Goddard gets a first. Brown then takes a hand to the face. No call, but Devontae Smith in that sequence would be open. He would walk into the end zone, tie game at 24. The defense gets back on the field, and thank you. Oh, wow. Defense did it. The defense did it. Reed Blankenship with the pick. I was harsh on him all game, obviously, but he gets the pick, and the offense gets prime field position. Hurts fakes a run on second, fires a dime to Julio Jones. Julio Jones with his first touchdown as an Eagle, 31-24. Thank you. But the defense needed another stop. Robinson runs it on. The run stop was awful. Robinson had way too easy of a day at the office. They get another few yards from a run. Then they get a first on a passing play. Then the run stopping actually looked a bit better during that drive, but Howell on third down with a low throw to Terry. Reddick was so close to getting the sack, but couldn't. But then on fourth down, McLaurin couldn't haul in the low throw, and the defense gets so beyond lucky because he couldn't be any more open. And then the offense doesn't respond to that. Defense finally with a good stop. Nope. Goddard couldn't haul in a pass. And it ended up being a 3-and-out. Brian Johnson, he's just bad. He's just something else. But the defense definitely stepped up, because who does it? Who does it every single week with the game on the line? Who else but Hassan Reddick would get a huge sack on fourth down there? And he does it again. Hassan Reddick. He's hyping up the crowd. I freaking love him. I'd love it if he could get more sacks early on in the game, but you know what? He's making the big time sacks and he's making the big time plays. You take it. Swift then ends up punching in a touchdown too on a fake brotherly shove attempt. In retrospect, he probably should have slid, because this game ended up being a little closer, because the defense, again, does nothing and lets them march down the field as Crowder gets a touchdown, 38-31. But Washington couldn't get the onside kick. The Eagles end up just taking a couple knees, and they hold on to win the game. 7-1. 7-1 is all that matters, but definitely not a pretty effort at all by the defense, and the defense has been a problem. Hopefully will not continue to be a problem, because you play Dallas, who just absolutely demolished the Rams, and it's not going to be an easy game. But take it. This team really should be freaking 8-0. Like, the way that the Jets played this week, the Eagles can beat the Jets. I'm sick to my stomach, but regardless. 7-1. And now the true gauntlet starts. Dallas, AC, Buffalo, San Fran, Dallas. Just please at least win 3. Just win at least 3 for me. Or the defense, just please step up for me. If the defense is stepping up, the team could be in a lot better of a position. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comment section. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Eagles fans. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Birds.